Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased and very privileged to welcome to the programme Chesney Hawkes. Chesney, how are you doing?
Good, mate. How are you doing?
Wonderful, thank you. Wonderful. Now, the one thing that everybody knows you for, the one and only. It's one of those tunes that as soon as you play, I am the one, everybody knows it, everybody's up on the floor, everybody loves it. But there's a lot more than that now, isn't there?
Yeah, this year's been a big year for me. I've started releasing new music. It's the first new music in 12 years, I think, was my last album. So, yeah, it's doing really well. I've actually got another hit on my hands, would you believe?
Yes.
feels very weird, but amazing. I'm in dreamland. You know, I've just released a second single now. And that one's gone straight on the Radio 2 playlist as well. So it's all going really well.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, get a hold of yourself. We've been playing that because I absolutely love it. I think it's a brilliant tune. And it's also sort of garnered quite a bit of interest because people are going, is that really Chesney Hawkes?
Well, that was the plan, to be quite honest with you. You know, I wanted that. I wanted people to say, have you heard that Chesney Hawkes record? That doesn't sound like him at all. You know, that's what I wanted. You know, that's Chesney Hawkes. You know, and that's kind of the impression. I mean, I do find that weird because you know it's not a million miles off of what I have done. You know, over the last 30 years. You know, we all change, and you know, just because it doesn't sound like the one and only, which was 34 years ago.
Yeah,
it's not surprising. It sounds a little different, really.
Absolutely not. That is taken from a new album, Living Arrows, which you've done a lot of the writing on that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, you sound surprised.
Well, I know it's one of those things where you sort of think of you as a singer, not as a songwriter.
What? Well, only because you haven't followed my career, apparently.
Probably.
because yeah, I would say so. Because I've been a writer since I was a kid. You know, I was even, you know, I know Nick Kershaw wrote The One and Only, obviously. So I understand where you're coming from. But even in those early days, I had songs on that first album, and obviously ever since then, I've written everything on all of my albums ever since. So yeah.
I didn't realise. I'm so sorry. I really didn't realise that. The album itself, which comes out in February, isn't it?
Yes, it's available now for pre-order on my website, chesneyhawkes.com. But it actually physically will be, you know, if you pre-order it now, it'll physically be in your hands in February. Yes.
Brilliant. What's it like? I mean, is it sort of very stripped back? Is it very in your face? Or, I mean, I haven't heard it obviously because I'm not allowed to, but.
Well, you will do soon, but no, it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. There are some kick the doors down bangers, as you would expect, including Get a Hold of Yourself and the new single Live Forever. But you know, I tackle some difficult subjects on this album. There are some songs on there that just basically had to be written, and almost as a form of therapy for me. So yeah, there are some beautiful kind of stripped back ballads and some songs that are, well, shall we say, therapeutic, cathartic, you know.
Yeah. Now, one of the songs, I think, "Live Forever," was written with a friend of yours in mind, wasn't it? Who had some very sad news, stage 4 lung cancer.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a sort of slap in the face.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is life, isn't it? He's my best friend, and yeah, of course, it's horrible news to get that anyone that you love, especially with somebody like Vic, who basically is the life and soul of every party, and he still is, to be quite honest with you. He's the most positive man I've ever met. You know, and yeah, of course, that's why this song, is kind of dedicated to him.
Yeah.
It's, the opening line is "Smash it to pieces." You know, let's turn this whole world upside down, and that basically represents how I feel about Vic and everyone that loves him and knows him.
When you're not writing and singing, what do you do? What really excites you? What makes you feel good?
Well, I'm a father of 3, so
oh, wow.
Obviously spending time. Well, they're not kids anymore. They're all adults, So, spending time with my kids, and actually right now is one of those times. Just coming up for Christmas. I got my daughter's just come down from St Andrews University, so she's come down to for Christmas, and so she's 21. I've got a 23-year-old boy who lives with us here, and a 19-year-old boy who's actually my lead guitar player. Would you believe?
I was just going to mention that because when you go on tour, or when you go on tour this time, you've got your son on guitar and your brother on drums. Is that right?
Yeah. My brother's been with me since day one. So if you look at old photos of me with my band back from the early '90s, you'll see my little bro Jody with me, behind me that whole time. So yeah, he's stuck with me all these years, and now my youngest son Indy is an incredible guitar player, and it's one of my favourite things in life to kind of standing on stage and looking at the side and seeing him with his foot on the monitors and throwing guitar shapes and generally behaving like a rock star, like his granddad. So yeah, it's a family affair at the moment.
Is family important to you?
Yeah, of course, it's everything. Family is everything for me, for sure. I'm very lucky that Indy wants to play with me, and he is welcome on my stage. Whenever he deems me worthy, he's totally welcome there. But of course, I'm also aware that he has his own projects, and he has his own dreams and aspirations, and while he's wanting to come out on the road with me, he's welcome. But I understand if he wants to move on from the old man.
How much of an influence was your dad on you and the way you play and write?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a rock and roll household, so all of my dad and all of his friends were musicians, and some of them, big stars like Jerry Marsden was one of Dad's best friends, from Jerry and the Pacemakers. Mm. But bands like the Searchers and the Marmalade and Herman's Hermits and Dave D, Dozy, Bick and Mick and Titch, they were all like my uncles, if you know what I mean. So I mean, yeah, definitely, I would say informed by everything that kind of happened to me as a kid, and just experiencing those wild rock and roll parties that my parents used to throw. And Dad used to take me and my brother and sister to gigs even as young as 6 or 7 years old, and we'd be peeking through the wings at the magical sights, lights and hair everywhere and leather trousers and knickers being thrown on stage and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely I feel like we were never going to be accountants.
Yes, I guess there was that, Now, Living Arrows, the actual album has been inspired by a poem, is that right?
Well, the album title is, basically it's a Khalil Gibran poem, and it's called On Children, and he, at one point in this beautiful poem, you should definitely look it up. It'll make you cry if you're a parent. It's so true, so real, so raw, and it's basically the bit that I kind of picked from Living Arrows is he likens children to you are the bows from which you pull back and let your living arrows, which are your children, go. And obviously my kids are at that age at the moment where they're flying the nest and they're figuring out life, and every parent has that moment where you have to let your kids go. It's just part of life, isn't it? And so that's where I got the idea for the title Living Arrows. And I also equate the same thing with songs. So you write these songs, you put your heart and soul into them, you put your sweat, blood and tears into them, and they are your babies, really. And you pull the bow back and you let them go, and hope that they are received well. And basically, I think songs, they go off and they have their own life, and they have their own emotional connections with people, So you have to let them go as well.
Yeah. Now you work with producers on a lot of the tracks, I guess. How do you feel? I mean, you go into a recording studio, you have an idea of how that song's going to sound. Are you open to suggestions, or do you think, no, that's the way I want it to sound? Or are you able to work with producers when they say, no, what you want to do is this?
Well, any form of art, if you are kind of working with other people, it's a team effort, So I mean, I produce as well myself. I've written with and worked with and mentored a lot of young artists and produced other artists as well. So I kind of know just what it's like. Obviously, I've been in studios my whole life and witnessed it. The people that I worked with, especially on this album, are friends of mine. So Jake Gosling, who is the kind of lead producer on this album. He's worked with people like Ed Sheeran, One Direction, Paloma Faith, Lady Gaga. He's very much an A-list producer. So I love how he takes a song and an artist and works directly from that, if you see what I mean. So with Jake and I, we wrote a lot of songs together as well. So he'll take what I give, which is my voice, my playing, my guitar playing, my piano playing, whatever it is. And then he'll kind of figure out what's right to put around the track, around what I do. And I think those are the best kind of producers. It's not producers that, I have worked with producers I haven't got on with, where they try and just put their stamp on it. So you give them a song and they're like, right, we're going to put strings on this and we're going to put ukulele on here, and they just kind of like do it just for the sake of doing it, and sometimes it takes away from the feel. So someone like Jake can understands the importance of the feel and intimacy of a song. Like there's one song on this album that is literally just me and a piano, and that's all it needed. And we did put a couple of little atmospheric things on there, but anything that we added on top of it just kind of took away from the intimacy of the lyric and the feel of the song. And Jake knows, and I think it's the same with musicianship. Like you've got to know when not to play.
Yeah.
So with production, you got to know when you need to leave space.
Now you've got a couple of friends who appear on the album. One being Nick Kershaw.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Nick a long time ago. He's a great guy, isn't he?
Oh, he's funny. He's hilarious. He's a wonderful guy. I mean, Nick's one of my bezies. I've known him for 35 years or more now, and we are he's my longest running kind of musical mentor, musical co-writer. We've written hundreds of songs together. I've actually been lucky enough to have songs on his albums over the years, which is amazing. But yeah, Nick is always my first point of call, and whenever I'm in the room with Nick, I learn something. It's that simple.
One of the other things that's sort of maybe a bit of a side thing is you are an ambassador for the suicide prevention charity Campaign Against Living Miserably, CALM. This must take some time. I mean, what got you involved in that?
Well, I've been affected by suicide in my family, and I know what it's like to go through that kind of grief. And obviously, having been through that, suicide is preventable. It's simple as that. And the statistics with suicide nowadays is actually quite terrifying. It's the biggest killer of men under 50.
Yeah.
So that statistic alone it should wake people up. It's pretty terrifying. So I wanted to, when I had these things happen to me, I definitely, found solace in friends and talking to people. And I think that's one of the things that CALM, is very, very strong with, is that kind of understanding that we all need to talk.
Yeah.
And that is what can prevent somebody going down that road. It's
it's powerful.
It's a beautiful charity. It's powerful. They're beautiful people, and they have the right kind of thoughts around how to go about it.
Yeah.
So I was honoured, to be honest with you, because they're such an amazing organisation. I was very honoured that they wanted me to come on board.
Brilliant. Now you're out on tour, Chesney Live in 25. Starts in March from the looks of it, and you've got quite a few dates on there.
Yeah, I mean that particular tour is quite a relatively small tour. I've got all sorts of things going on, but that tour I'm really excited about because that's probably where I'm going to start really bringing out the new songs from this album. Obviously, I'm going to bring out the old hits and everything else, and it will be a party, definitely. and I'm going to have my bro, I'm going to have my son with me. But I've got some European dates coming up that haven't been announced yet. Some really exciting times coming. So there'll be loads of gigs. So if anyone wants to come and see me, ChesneyHawkes.com will have all of that information.
Definitely. And there's also a link there, I believe, to getting the new album in various different formats, and also a chance to download and stream. And you can even get it on cassette. Is that right?
Yeah, I know. You know what? It's funny. This is my first record for 12 years. And when I put my last record out, all of this stuff hadn't really kind of come back into the zeitgeist. But now, this album is going to be available on vinyl, CD, cassette, and of course, there'll be like a normal kind of downloads and streaming and all that kind of stuff. But it's amazing. I'm old school. I love vinyl, and I love to have that kind of tactile, thing in your hands. I grew up with that. That's how I consumed music when I was young. So yeah, I'm so excited to have those actual formats in my hand, have a vinyl in my hand, have a cassette in my hand, CD. And my kids, it's funny, I speak to kids and they've all got record players now, turntables, and their Christmas lists are all vinyl.
Yes.
It's like, wow, it's coming back, baby.
The one that got me, though, was the limited edition picture disc. Wow, when was the last time I saw one of those?
I know. Well, the 80s probably.
Yes.
I remember. I think I've got a Howard Jones picture disc from the 80s. I've still got it.
I've got me Sergeant Pepper's picture disc and me Joshua Tree picture disc nailed on the wall in my office here. So.
Oh, fantastic!
I'm with you there. Now, look, it's been great talking to you, Chesney. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. We wish you well with the album. Looking forward to being able to play this new single, Live Forever. And also, good luck on tour.
You are able to play it now. It's out now.
I know. I'm going to attach it to this little interview here, which will be the first playing. So thank you once again.
And thank you for having me. And really thanks for the support and for playing music. It really does mean a hell of a lot. So thank you.
It's a pleasure, honestly. Thanks a lot for now. Take care, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Okay. Cheers, mate. Bye
Cheers.
now.
Bye-bye.